guys, in today's video we're going to be continuing with our Webflow series, and in this particular video we're going to be talking about, you guessed it from the thumbnail and title, styles. So we're going to be talking about the styles inspector on the right. So most people who are familiar with CSS already shouldn't really have like a huge problem understanding this, but we'll be going through most of the common things that we actually look for on the right hand sidebar, how to use them, what classes are as well. Now that's really important since that is also part of the style selector, and just basically wrap our head around it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to start by creating a new page. So obviously we have a fresh start, and you don't really get again like clouded by all of the things that are happening on this page. So imagine on this page we have a body element. By default, when you create an empty page, you basically just have a body element, and then you can press A and start dragging a div or a container or a section, so on and so forth. I'm basically just going to go ahead and drag a div here. So anything that basically is dragged on a page, any element, particularly a div or a section, so on and so forth, what basically happens is it actually occupies an empty space. So if you wanted to drag something else inside of it, you can quite easily. But coming to the right hand side of things, anytime you have basically an element selected on the left hand sidebar, if I basically don't have anything selected, imagine if I press escape, I don't have anything selected on the right hand sidebar, nothing's going to show here apart from like some basic stuff here. It's asking me to select an element on the canvas to activate this panel. So if I select either the body tag or the div tag, I'm going to get all of the properties that are there by default on the right hand sidebar on this particular element. So the basic stuff that we have, I'm actually just going to go ahead and add a bunch of other elements as well. I'm going to add two div blocks inside of this other div block that I basically have. So div block, and then I have two div blocks inside of it. One thing that I can do is I can now define what these div blocks are actually going to appear and behave like. So for example, by default, actually, let me just go ahead and add a color here. So as you can see on the right, I have a bunch of properties like the display properties, which is by default block. Then we have flex, then we have grids, then we have inline block, we have inline, and then we have hidden. And then we have some spacing like the margin and padding, the sizing, the positioning, so on and so forth. Like these are basic things that anyone who's familiar with CSS would know. Even if you're not familiar with CSS, if you're just a designer, you would probably understand most of these things like width, right? Minimum width, height, positioning is a bit more complex, especially if you don't really know the differences, because in design tools we don't really have positioning, especially the amount of positioning elements that we have here. Float and clear, I would definitely recommend not using float anymore. Float and clearing is something that we actually used way back when we were actually doing some manual stuff and manual positioning, like having an element on the right, having an element on the left. But you can still achieve all of that stuff by using grids now and using Flexbox. Floats may be applicable when you actually are writing a blog and you just want to have an image floated on the right of the blog or on the left and have the text wrap around it. But apart from that, you're not going to use it. Then we have typography, background, border radiuses, some effects like blending. You're not going to be using that anymore as well. Mostly in normal designs, opacity, outline, shadows, transforms, transitions, filters, backdrop filters. Backdrop filters is also something you're going to use rarely, I would argue. One thing that I want you to understand is anytime you make any changes here on the right, what happens is if I'm, let's say, going to make this div block a 500 pixel block, as you can see, a style selector gets added automatically. It actually adds a style selector called div block. If I now go to this other div block and add another thing like a width of 200, it's going to add another thing on top of it. It's going to add another class, which is going to say div block 2. So all of these things, all of these classes are automatically generated, and we don't really want them to be automatically generated. Anytime you want to change something, you have to decide, first of all, irrespective of whether you actually want this particular styling duplicated or not, or actually applied to something else or not, always decide what this particular element is that you're styling and add a selector to it. So for example, if this is my div, I can go ahead and say this is going to be my inner div or something. Or maybe I'm creating, let's say, a section that has a div on the left and a section that has a div on the right. So I can say this is going to be our inner div. And after I've given this an inner div, I can then decide what the width should be, what the height should be. Maybe I should say the width should be 50, or let's say 50%. I can also say that. So now what happens is, as you can see, I have some padding here as well. Let me just go ahead and remove this padding because I don't think we need it. Yet still, the padding is still there for some reason. Let's see why is it still there. Actually, it's not. For some reason, I was seeing it. We can also go ahead and apply the same properties that I've applied on this inner div. So let me actually just give it a background color. So let's just give it some red color like this, and also give it a height because we can't really see it because it does not have a height. So let's just give it a 200 pixel height. So here is our second div block. Now if we want to apply the same styling that we've applied above to that other div block, we can basically just reuse its class. I can say this is also going to be styled like an inner div, and that's how I can go ahead and I can basically tweak this other thing or make this other thing follow the same styles as the previous thing by just referencing its class. So this is really important, and always anytime you're changing any styles on an element, always go ahead and define a class on that. So now a few other things that I'd like to mention that are going to be very relevant to you. Obviously the first thing that's going to be very relevant is going to be the padding. The padding is something that gets applied inside of the element, and the margin is something that gets applied outside of the element. So as an example, let me just go ahead and actually tweak something for the body. So imagine this is the body. I'm going to go ahead and give this a color of gray. Let's say this is our body tag. Now if I actually gave a padding inside of it, what do you think is going to happen? Or let's say if I gave a padding to this div block, let's actually just call it outer div, just for explanation purposes. This is our outer div. It has two inner divs. If I give this a padding, and let's just actually give this a background as well. I'm going to give this a background of, let's say, blue. So as you can see now, you're going to be like, hey, this is really weird. I have this div and it has a blue color on the right and then red on the left. Well, that's because we have the inner divs taking most of the space on the left, which is why you don't see the blue background on the left, which is obviously being overridden, or these other inner divs are actually on top of the other one, so we can't really see them. Now, if I actually apply padding inside of it, what's going to happen is, let's just go ahead and actually apply padding. If you have to apply a padding on one side, you can basically just click on it or drag to apply the padding. If you want to apply the padding on both the left and the right, or the top and the bottom, you can press Alt or Option. And if you press Alt or Option, as you can see, the padding is being applied on the left and the right. If you want to apply the padding all around, top, bottom, left, right, you can basically press Shift and Option or Alt, and then basically try dragging it. As you can see, then the padding is being applied on all sides. So this is really, again, really handy for you to just obviously understand. One other thing that you need to know about is margins. So margins are something that actually apply spacing outside of the element. So if I apply a margin here, as you can see, this is taking a margin outside of it, which is why you can see the body behind it, or the gray background of the body behind it. Similarly, I can apply a margin on the left and the right, and as you can see, it's basically taking outside the padding and spacing, the margin outside of the element. So these are two important things that you need to know when we're talking about spacing. As far as layouts are concerned, layouts are perhaps one of the most important things that you need to wrap your head around. And if you already know CSS, this shouldn't be really hard. But one thing that you need to know in layouts is, by default, a display divs, sections, container, most of these things actually have a block element styling applied to it. But there are other displays for layouts as well. If you need things side by side, you can also use Flexbox. And once you actually use Flexbox, you can define what the direction of this Flexbox is going to be. So should the inner elements be actually stacked horizontally, or should they be stacked vertically? Similarly, what you can do is you can also define what the alignment of these elements should be. So for example, if one of these elements is smaller and the other one is larger, how should they be aligned? Should they be aligned at the top, from the middle, from the side, or whatever it is? And similarly, the alignment can also define whether these should be on the left and the right, so on and so forth. So if I go to horizontal as an example, and let me just go ahead and change the width to 20% so you can see it. So if I say that these elements should be justified, like for example on the left, on the center, on the right, or should they have a maximum amount of spacing in the middle, or should they be positioned like this? So these are things that you can experiment with. Similarly, you can position them vertically and then define how these elements are going to be stacked, center, stuff along those lines. So all of that is for you to explore. The other thing that I want to talk about are grids. So in grids, what happens is when you apply a grid on a container, it basically adds invisible columns. It actually adds invisible columns on the inside of elements. So as you can see, I can define what this particular element, what the width of this element should be, what the width of that element should be. And if I just, let's say, basically just say this is done, I'm done editing the grid. As you can see, even though I have this element as 20% width, it has no container. It's not taking the 20% width of the outer div. It's actually taking the 20% width of the column that's invisible inside of it, or the grid item that's invisible. So it's actually taking the 20% of this particular element's width. Even if I, let's say, do it 50%, let's just actually give it 50%, it's taking 50% of the element or the invisible column that's actually sitting inside of that grid. So this is something that's really important as well. Let me just go back to the outer div, and then, so these are the three things that you'll probably be using. You won't be using inline block or inline that much, I would argue, but there are still cases to use them, and you can obviously explore them as well. But here I'm basically covering most of the common and basic things that you'll be doing. So obviously fonts, you would be modifying them, stuff along those lines. Let me go back to Flexbox and explain one thing to you. Now imagine if you wanted to say this inner div element, and let me just go ahead and actually add some other things to it, like a border radius maybe. I want to add, let's say, a 50 pixel border radius, or let's say something nice like 8 pixels. So you're like, this looks really good, but I actually want this first div to be green. But I also want all of the styles that exist on this div to remain, but I just want it to be green. Just slightly different. I don't really want a huge change. I just want minor differences on top of the already established style that this particular element has. If you have that particular case, what you're going to do is you're going to apply a combo class. A combo class basically means is you preserve the styles that you've already defined, but then you modify it by applying another selector to it. So if I, let's say, apply green, I basically add this combo class green. And now if I change this background to, let's say, green or something, I don't know if this is green, it looks like green. This is only going to be applied to elements that have both these classes. So if they have an inner div, they're going to be what you see on the right. But if they also have this green class applied to it, it's actually going to change it to something like this. But this does not, however, mean that if I have, let's say, just a div, this is an empty div, and if I give this and actually a green class to it, it's going to be green. No, it's not going to be green, because that green is a combo class on top of the inner div. If I write green here, as you can see, it's saying, hey, do you want to create a new class called green? I'm not really sure. We don't really want to. We can if we want to. We can just have a class called green, and then we can apply color green to it. But the green thing that we created is actually something that exists in the context of the inner div class that we previously gave. So that's also an important concept to understand. Apart from that, there are minor things that you also need to know is, for example, if you want to say anytime I hover over this inner div, something should happen. So I'm going to say if I hover over this, what should happen? Now I can go ahead and change the styles that I want to. For example, I can say the width instead of 50% should actually come down to 40% or something. So this is only going to be applicable if a person is going to be hovering over. So if I now, let's say, just publish the page for you to see it, I'm going to publish it. And once it's published, we're going to open it. So let's open it. Now, as you can see, we have this page in front of us. If I hover over this, as you can see, if I'm hovering over this, it's actually shrinking in width. And that's because the styles, first of all, what we did was we went to the element itself. Let me just delete this div block on the right. We went to the element itself and we applied the hover state to it. And then we defined any changes we make now on the style elements are going to be applied to that hover state. This actually behaves very similarly to the combo class that we initially talked about. Now, a lot of you may be wondering, since we're doing this, you're going to be like, hey, we really don't like this jumpy behavior. Why is it not animating? Well, if you want it to animate, let me just get rid of the hover thing. You can go to transitions. Transitions basically allow you to make things a bit more fancy. So you basically say, I want to add a transition. It's going to ask you, What type of a transition do you want to add? Do you want an opacity transition? Do you want a margin transition, a padding transition? What transition? I'm going to say I want a width transition, and then I can decide what the easing is going to look like. Should it be, there are different types of easing that you can play around with, the duration and stuff along those lines. So now if you hover over this particular element, if you try to interact with it, as you can see, if I'm hovering over it, the width is decreasing, but it's very smooth. And that's because we applied that transition to it. So a few things that I actually want to obviously let you know is, and I can just go ahead and actually add a text element as well. So let me just go ahead and actually add a text block. So here we have some text block. Now, one thing that I want you to know is on this inner div, I can obviously similarly apply a padding all around it. If I apply the padding, the text is going to have some padding on the left and the right and stuff along those lines. One important thing here as well is if I want to change the color, I can obviously go ahead and change the color. If I want to, let's say, go ahead and increase the font size, I can go ahead and increase the font size as well. I can make this bold as well. So those are some basic things that you'll probably know or need to know when you're basically creating sites using Webflow. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. The most important thing that I want you to focus on is the style selector. Always making sure when you're creating or styling particular elements, even before you've actually styled them, figure out a name for them. Or if you've styled them, let's say if I just go ahead and actually create a div here, and then I'm like doing a bunch of styling, like I gave it a width of 20 pixel, I went ahead and gave this a display flex, I went ahead and gave this a background or something like this. Once I've done that, I need to go ahead on this style selector. I need to rename this class to whatever, like this is like my slim div or whatever. Obviously slim div, inner div, outer div, all of these are like really basic classes. You shouldn't really give them these classes. They should be much more representative of what they actually are. Like, are these, if they are, for example, like larger elements like container or section, you can go ahead and give them like header. Those can be pretty default and pretty general because again, they are talking about higher level elements. But if you're, let's say, creating a product card, then the card itself should have a class of product card. Similarly, if you have an image inside of the product card, you're not going to say image and just apply that particular styling to it because you're going to have tons of images in your page. If you keep on applying classes like that, it's going to get very confusing. So you're going to say product minus card __ image or something like that. There's a really good way of actually defining these classes, which is the BEM methodology. So I'm just going to search BEM methodology, which you can have a look at it. And you can see how to actually write really good classes. I personally like it. There are different ways and different approaches that people have of adding these things. Like, for example, head, like elements like this, head small. You can go ahead and have a look at that. And obviously, once we're actually designing a page from scratch, we're obviously going to be using the BEM methodology to some extent as well. So that's pretty much what I wanted you to know on the styles panel. Go ahead, explore the styles panel. If there's anything confusing, definitely let me know, and I'd be more than willing to help you here. So that's pretty much it. Do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.